Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. The Honorable Prof. Dr. Sri Indah Nikansari, SAMSA, as Head of the Economic Education Study Program. The Honorable Prof. Dr. Ari Saptono, M.Pd, as First Advisor. The Honorable Mr. Aditya Pratama, S.Pd, M.Pd, as the Second Advisor. And the Honorable all of examiners. On this occasion, allow me here Sabilla from Economic Education Study Program to explain the research about development of audiovisual learning media based contextual on taxation material at Sman 38 Jakarta. This research is motivated by the result of observation that have been made previously. This observation aimed to find out the problems and needs at the research site, namely at Sman 38 Jakarta. SMA 38 Jakarta is one of the schools that applies the K-13 or Curriculum 2013 concept in order to implement the function and objectives of the national education system, and the K-13 concept, the school strives to continuously improve the quality of learning. With the outbreak of the coronavirus that emerged in early 2022, it caused learning to be shifted online as the number of COVID-19 spread decreased. A limited face-to-face learning or PTMT system is implemented. The school applies PTMT with a blended learning method to anticipate crowds. In both learning systems, there is decrease in learning outcomes, as evidenced by learning outcomes that are below the KKM. Based on the result of observation of the learning process, interviews with the teachers, and interview with students, it can be concluded that the learning method is monotone, so that the students do not fully understand the relationship between materials and real example in real life, and less innovative learning media. However, starting in early 2022, learning is carried out face-to-face by implementing health protocols. In a full face-to-face system observation, it's known that most students have not been able to take even semester learning because they have not completed the basic competency, so they are required to take repetition classes. Based on the result of interview conducted with related teachers, it's known that from the various available learning media, educators often use Google Classroom, Google Meeting, WhatsApp, and Microsoft PowerPoint learning media. However, in practice, educators lack innovation in the use of learning media, one of which is videos, so that students only rely on memory through what they hear from the teacher. Learning videos can be used in any learning materials. Economics learning is one form of effort in understanding complex issues. These materials are closely related to the condition of real life. One of the economic materials with a high level of difficulty is taxation. According to students, the material that is difficult but attracts attention because it can be realized in its context with everyday life is taxation. However, the material is considered too complex and involves calculating numbers. Therefore, it's necessary to develop learning video media. Students can understand the relationship between the material and real life through a contextual approach packaged in learning videos. This study aims to determine the stage of developing contextual-based audiovisual learning media on taxation material at Sman 38 Jakarta. Knowing product validation test by media expert and material expert. Knowing the effect of contextual-based audiovisual learning media on learning outcome on taxation material at Sman 38 Jakarta. There are 5 concept study. First, learning media are all forms of information facilities used to convey learning material, so that teaching and learning activities become effective and efficient. This study focused on audiovisual learning media, which can be interpreted as a learning device that combines sound with image to make it easier for students and observe learning materials, as evidenced by existence of feedback in improving student learning abilities. Second is contextual, is the concept of teaching carried out by educators in delivering learning material and its relation to environmental conditions, so that students are actively and independently involved in understanding the relationship between the material present and issues or conditions of daily life. The third is the result of learning process that result in an increase in knowledge that previously did not know, as well as change in behavior and skill for the better through learning activities. Fourth, text learning materials that are closely related to living condition in the context of realizing the text awareness inclusion program. The fifth, the development model carried out in the study is the AD development model, which consists of the stage of analysis, design, development, implementation, and evaluation. The study takes reference from previous research. Sman with the title Development of Learning Media for Video Audiovisual Stop Motion based on contextual teaching and learning in science learning water cycle material, show the result of media validation is 93%, material validation is 94%, and language validation is 84%. This means that the feasibility of the product from the three aspects is declared very feasible, and the response of the students to the use of the product is 92, which means it's very practical in learning. And Aditya et al. Entitled The Influence of Learning Using Contextual Teaching and Learning Approach to Basic Learning Outcomes of High School Students show that 3 is an effect of contextual approach on student learning outcome as evidenced by difference in the average pre-test and post-test. The increase in learning outcome can be seen from the result of the endgame test of 0.78. The score is included in the high category. The audiovisual learning media developed in this study used the theory of TPACK in Bahasa or Technological Pedagogical Content Knowledge Theory, which was developed and refined by Holler and Misha. Hypothesis in this study is that there is an effect of contextual-based audiovisual learning media and learning outcome on taxation material at Sman 38 Jakarta. Study used an AD development model with an experimental method in the form of a quasi-experiment. 11 Social 1 is a control class and 11 Social 2 is experiment class that is given treatment. Data collection techniques include observation, interview, questionnaires, tests, and documentation. Data analysis technique with prerequisite test. If the data is normally distributed, then use parametric statistic. But if it's not normally distributed, then use non-parametric. The result of this study were obtained in accordance with the stage of development. In the analysis stage, there is increase as learning outcomes. The learning approach is less than optimal, and the learning media is not varied. At the design stage includes storyline design, validation sheet, and preparation of the test instrument. In the development stage, the results show that the product receives a feasibility value of 71% and 88% from Media Expert 1, Media Expert 2 by 80% and 91%, Material Expert 1 by 92%, and Material Expert 2 by 90%. The assessment includes improvement aspect of presentation and content. In addition, there are 20 valid and reliable question trials. At the implementation stage, the product is used in class 11 Social Study 2. At the evaluation stage, namely pre-test and post-test in the control and experiment class, using non-parametric statistical tests which include tests of normality, homogeneity, Wilcoxon, and Mann-Whitney. The results show that the learning media developed has an effect on supporting the improvement of student learning outcomes on taxation materials, with an increase in learning outcomes for the control class by 28 and an increase the experiment class by 52. Both classes experienced an increase, but the increase in the control class was not as high as the experimental class. Based on the result of the study, it can be concluded that first, the development of contextual-based audiovisual learning media on taxation materials through the ADA development model has been carried out properly according to the stage. The second, the development media has been declared sustainable for use based on the result of the validity test by media expert and material expert. Third, it's known that there is an influence of contextual-based audiovisual learning media on taxation materials in improving student learning outcome. Okay, that's it's all and thank you. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.